lecture was originally slated to be 4 hours, but I have less than 2. So it will have to be fast-forward lecture, where you see all the people moving on the screen, but you don't know exactly what is the plot. But I will try to help with it. So, first of all, it is important, I think, to define what I'm not going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about the banking system, and I'm not going to talk about, mostly about government programs, of one example of which you just had. One rule, the whole lecture is in English. There is no translation. If you do not understand a word or a phrase, it is not shameful to raise your hand and ask, what does this word mean? What this phrase means? There are enough people here who can help us with that. So don't be shameful, don't be ashamed. You will simply miss out. But I think before we start, we need to ask 2 questions. Before we go into the lecture itself, the lecture itself will be about specific resources. I'm going to direct you to specific resources. I advise you very strongly to write down the names of these resources. All these resources, with a few exceptions that I will mention, all these resources are available to Macedonian entrepreneurs and firms. We are talking about a total of more than 150 resources. Most of them, the vast majority of them, unknown in Macedonia completely. But all of them have money available to Macedonian firms and entrepreneurs. But before we start, I think we should ask 2 questions. First, why not the banking sector? And the second question is, why entrepreneurs find it so difficult to get money? Did you ever stop to think about it? Why is it so difficult to get money? It is so difficult to get money because, contrary to what everyone is telling you, innovation is not about finding what is missing in the market and then inventing it. I repeat, innovation is not about finding what is missing in the market and then inventing it. Innovation is about inventing the market. Simple. When Steve Jobs, or whoever, came with the iPhone, there was no need for the iPhone. No one knew that they needed an iPhone. But once the iPhone was here, no one can imagine how they live without the iPhone. Literally, every single important invention, think about the car. Why would you need a car? You have a wagon, you have 4 horses. Why would you need a car? No invention is needed before it is invented. Because you, as entrepreneurs, are coming up with things which are not needed. If you are good entrepreneurs, you are coming up with things which are not needed. Things which people still don't know that they need. Things which you have to convince people that they need. Your main role as entrepreneurs is educational. You are missionaries of a new religion, the religion of capitalism. You are missionaries and you are going to the terra incognita of consumption, of consumers. And you are holding the consumer and telling him, do you know that you need an iPhone? Consumer says, what is an iPhone and why do I need an iPhone and how did I live well until now without an iPhone? And then you have a job to do. You have a job to educate the consumer. Now imagine if it is so difficult to convince a consumer, how difficult it is to convince a banker. How difficult is this to convince me to give you 50,000 euros? How difficult it would be, because you are not coming to me with something I know. You are coming to me with something alien, strange, unheard of, and totally unnecessary. Till now. After you have invented it, it will become fact of life, a necessity like breathing. Can you imagine yourself without a laptop, a PC? Can you imagine yourself without an iPhone? Can you imagine yourself without a car? Coming to think of it, can you imagine yourself without electricity? None of these things were really, really, really necessary. You can live without electricity. My great-grandmother did. So, this is why it's so difficult to get money. The second thing is, banking system is not built to finance business. It is not a system that is built to finance business. The banking system is built to protect deposits and to give a certain return on the deposits, some income on the deposits. But the main role of the banking system is to protect deposits. So bankers are very, very risk averse. They hate risk. You, as entrepreneurs, are 100% risk. If you are good entrepreneurs, you are 110% risk. You're only about risk. Your only real product is not a network, a new portfolio system. Your only real product is risk. You are selling risk. Why are you selling risk? Because reward goes with risk. We call it in economics risk to reward ratio. So reward only goes with risk. If you put your money in very, 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 very safe thing, you will get very, 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 very low income. If you put your money in very, 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 very dangerous thing, very, very risky thing, you will get very, very, very big income until you lose all your money. So this is the essence of banking. We say that a banker gives you an umbrella when it's sunny and takes it away when it starts to rain, which is a good definition of banking. Now, what is an investment? A long-term investment, these are general principles before we get to the point. And the point is source by source. Yes? But before we get to it, simply to put all of us in the right frame of mind of what's going on out there, outside the bubble that is called Macedonia. What's going on there? So, what is an investment, a long-term investment? A long-term investment is a short-term speculation that failed. That is it. Everyone, when they invest in something, want to make money based on some guess, on some gamble, on some speculation. When your gamble fails, when your speculation fails, you become long-term investor. You are stuck with the money in the investment forever. So that's the difference between speculator and investor. Speculators are the clever ones, the ones who make the right choices, the ones who make money, the ones who invested in Apple at $2, in Google at $1.30, and in Facebook even. These are the speculators. Investors are the failures. They are the speculators who failed. Or those who don't have enough balls, excuse me ladies, for speculating. So these are two distinct subspecies of mankind. They don't have the same genes, genetics. It's a different genetics. Consequently, they have a different brain. They talk different languages. They hate each other's guts. You are looking for speculators. Don't kid yourself. You are not looking for investors. Of course, you're going to say that you're looking for investors. No sane investor who is out of bankruptcy will invest in you. Only speculators will invest in you. You are looking for speculators. You are looking for people who need to take antipsychotic medication every evening. You are looking for nutcases. Startup, typical startup. What is the life cycle of a typical startup? You start with something called seed financing. This is very small money, like a seed, that you plant in the market, in your mind, among yourselves, among your workers. Small money, very small amount of money, the 5,000 euros that Janko mentioned, and leads to the next stage. The next stage is, if you are still alive, are angel investments or angel investors. Angel investor, you remember Janko told you that he went to one Pope Vladovsky, I don't know what, whatever his name was, and he gave him 100,000 euros. That is angel investor. Like an angel, you know? So he's like an angel. He gives you money. Angel investors, we'll talk about this shortly. Angel investor gives you a substantial amount of money. So you develop your company and you are ready for the third stage. The third stage is known as ramp up. Ramp up, or wrongly called venture capital. Venture capital is one type of ramp up capital. Okay, let's call it venture capital. That's the third stage. That means already that big people, big minds, believe in you, think your product is amazing, think your growth potential is extreme, and they're willing to put money in you. So this is venture capital. And finally, there's something called exit. Exit means you build a company, everyone is happy with it, time to sell it, or time to sell part of it. You sell part of it, you give the money back to the angel investor, to the venture capitalist, so on and so forth. You remain with some shares, or you don't. Some exit means that you sell the whole company. Some exit means you sell some of the company. Now, there are many ways to sell the company. Believe it or not, recently the trend is to sell the company to the employees. The recent fad, the recent fashion is to sell the company, the exit strategy is to sell it to the employees, and so on. We will not talk about all this because it's mostly not relevant to you. You are all stuck in the seed financing and maximum angel investing stage. None of you, guaranteed, is ready for venture capital. So let's not talk about venture capital. It's a waste of time. Okay. Let's talk about seed financing. 93% of seed financing comes from what is known in the industry, in the jargon, as FFF or triple F. FFF means friends, family, and fools. Friends, family, and fools. Simply, you walk around, you try to convince your mother, you put a mortgage on her apartment, then she loses the apartment, becomes homeless. You try to convince your neighbors, I try to convince Zoran, he goes to Vienna, and so on. So, people we know, friends, family, and in the industry they call them fools, because vast majority of these people have no experience in finance, or in investment, or in marketing, or in anything. So they are called secretly, talks among us, we call them fools. So friend, family, and fool. Actually, there is no other way to obtain seed funding unless we come to alternative finance, which will come in a minute. Triple F or alternative finance. These are the only two ways known to humanity raising seed capital. Next stage is angel investment. Now, angel investment, until now, you had to know someone. So Janko knew this guy, Pope Vlado, whatever his name is. He knew this guy. You have to know someone. You know Sveto Janovski, maybe we'll give you some. You know. Connections, firstly. Connections. Until now. But with the advent of the internet, there are global markets for angel investors. They don't care who you are. You come to this market after the seed financing. After the seed financing. You put in the seed money, you open the company, you have a prototype, a product, something to show. You know, of course. Then you approach these internet markets for angel investors. I will show you 3 examples. Like stock exchanges. Angel investors come, put money, companies come, take the money. All this is done in a totally computerized way, mostly, until the final stage where you have to actually talk to the person. Usually, 99% is computerized. And these are angel investors. We're talking big money. Here you don't apply for 1,000 euros, or 5,000, or even 10,000. These markets deal, as you see on the first one, these markets deal with 100,000, 500,000, million regularly. These are considered small investors. Now, angel investors come, Some of them put $1 million. One of them put $100 million. Some of them put $1 million. Some of them put $10,000. So these are what we call aggregated or syndicated angel investing. It's a new trend, totally new. Syndicated angel investing means hundreds of angel investors, each one putting 10,000, 5,000, 50,000, 1 million, 10 million, doesn't matter. And then they split their investment over a portfolio of companies. So for example, if I came to this website, I put €1 million in the website. The website matches me with 600, 700 companies, and my money is spread. So this is a massive revolution in angel investment, because until now, as angel investor, I would go to one company, two companies, because I know Janko, or Darko, or Vlatko. I know the people, and I would put $500,000, $500,000, $500,000. Now I don't need to do that. I put my $1.5 million, and I spread it over 700 companies. Much better. We call it diversification, optimal portfolio. Diversification. And risk, of course, is much lower. Actually, I will give you a few figures later. Alternative financing is far more profitable than bank financing. The companies survive much longer, employ many more people, and the rate of default in alternative financing is 1/3 the rate of default in banking. Even though the people don't know each other, never met, even though the process takes 48 hours, even though you get your money in 5 days, even though no one asks you for business plan, marketing plan, or any other plan, the default rate is 1/3 banking. Shows you how important business plans are. So, Dust, example 1. This is the biggest. AngelList is the biggest, by far. By the way, all of them open globally. These are not American funds. I mean, they are American in the United States, but they invest all over the world. I will show you later investments in Vietnam, Gambia, Ghana. So, AngelList is the biggest by far, and Angel's Den. So, these are 3 of 600. There are 600. If you decide to apply only to angels hubs, these are called hubs, angel hubs. If you decide to apply only to angel hubs, you will spend the next 3 years only applying. There are so many of them, but these are the 3 biggest. The chances are highest with these 3. Okay, these are angel hubs. I do strongly recommend that you write down. You came here, after all, to learn about specific sources. Now we have a new phenomenon called super angels. Super angel is totally new phenomenon. It's about 2 years old. These are angels that invest in angels. Angels that finance angels. So I want to be an angel, but I have, let's say, $500,000, and I want to take more risk. So I have a super angel will lend me $1 million. The super angel will give me money, and I will, with this money, invest. It's not relevant to you. It's not open to companies. But I'm mentioning it because we are also here to learn what's happening in the market. Now, private equity or venture capital. None of you, and no company in Macedonia, is eligible for venture capital. None. Venture capitalists are looking for companies that grow by 500 to 1,000% a year, 10 times the value every year for the next 5 years. They look for companies. No, please don't take anything I say as an insult. I'm not here to offend, although usually I do it. Not here to offend. But we must be realistic if we are to do business. So what are the differences between Macedonian accelerators and outside accelerators? First of all, outside accelerators have a lot more money. 1. 2. Outside accelerators have a hell of a lot more experience in international markets, in marketing, in doing business, in management, in everything. A hell of a lot more. With all due respect to everyone in Macedonia, it will take some time until you reach the level of expertise and experience that is required by international markets. Accelerators outside Macedonia provide it. Finally, accelerators outside Macedonia can provide you with immediate access to foreign markets. Immediate access to foreign markets, which Macedonian accelerators are a bit more limited in this respect. Macedonian accelerators have the advantage that they know the local conditions much better than global accelerators. Okay, here are 8 examples of accelerators open to Macedonian companies. By the way, I assume that everyone knows what is an accelerator. If someone doesn't know, no shame in this lecture. You raise the hand, what is an accelerator? Do all of you know what it is? All of you. Great.
No, I don't believe that everybody knows. Just in one sentence. Okay.
What makes you think that I know? Okay, people often confuse incubators with accelerators. Incubators are basically infrastructure companies. They are companies that provide office space, shared services, shared procurement, shared purchases, and so on, to a group of entrepreneurs and startups. So you have a single building, each startup gets a cubicle or an office or something. All of them together buying the services of one lawyer, one accountant, office supplies, and so on. This is incubator. Incubator charges a fee, annual fee, usually, sometimes differently, but usually annual fee, and doesn't take shares in the company, doesn't take equity. It's a service company. That is incubator, makes your life easier as a startup, reduces expenses dramatically. Accelerator is more involved with the company. Some accelerators take equity, some accelerators don't, but they take other things, percentage of the profit, of the turnover, stock options, a fee which reflects professional services and so on. Know-how, yeah. Accelerators provide you with everything, some accelerators provide you with everything that incubators provide you, but many accelerators don't. Many accelerators don't have physical office space to give you, and so on. But what they provide you with is mentorship. They're mentors, business mentors, on a variety of levels. They also provide you, at least in the West, I think in Macedonia is not true, but I'm not sure. In Macedonia, but in the West, many accelerators, most accelerators, provide you with access to base capital, beyond seed. You come with a seed and they provide you between seed and angel. This I don't know if Macedonia is. So here are examples. This is the biggest accelerator in the world. It's known as Y Combinator. As you see, they provide acceleration services, but they also invest money. It's very small money, but it's very important money. Even if they give you 1,000 euros, it's very important. Why? Because it signals to investors that you are okay. If Y Combinator puts 1,000 euros in you, your chances to get investment from angels and so on is much higher. You can also put in your, Y Combinator funding. Very important, like a seed of approval. So Y Combinator is an example. This is the second largest. We are 500 or 500. So as you see, master classes, etc., etc. Tech Hub, it's an incubator. You see that they have all over the world. Tech Hub has in Bucharest, Madrid, Riga, Warsaw. If you have a company in any of these locations, register, you can benefit from the hub, from the, incubator. Why would you do that? For example, you want to sell something, I don't know, in Madrid. You want to sell something in Madrid, you have to go to Madrid, register a company, rent an office, find worker, at least one. A lot of expenses. But if you go to the incubator, they will give you everything for peanuts. They will give you a presence in Madrid, presence in Warsaw, presence in Riga, I don't know where, presence in Bucharest, for a few €100 a year. You will have your own address, your own phone line, your own fax line, your own email, your own website, your own presence in Madrid for €600 a year, which is less than what it would cost you to rent a toilet in Madrid for 1 month. So this is how to use incubators as a backdoor marketing strategy. Okay, tech hub in your ethos, sort of fantasy. It works, you can get money. But there are essentially three problems actually. One, it's a very, very long, exhausting process. All the problems that I'm showing you is very long and exhausting process. At the end you may get money and so on, but you have to be patient and young. Second thing, with all respect to Europe, financing startups and entrepreneurs in Europe is a new thing. They don't know how to do it yet. In 10 years maybe, 20 years maybe. They're still learning what the Americans forgot in the 1970s. So they're very retarded as far as investing in startups and entrepreneurs. You will have difficulties simply in communicating with them your mentality. They are more like bankers in a way. And the third problem is that in order for Macedonian companies to be eligible, the government of Macedonia must sign bilateral agreements with the EU. It has done so. The government is signing, the Ministry of Economy is signing agreement after agreement. This government is doing a great job, and you know that I'm a critic usually, but it has done a great job in this sense, and it is signing up all the European, I will show you an example shortly, but not all of them, and not the important ones, unfortunately, yet. Not Macedonia's fault, Europe's fault. Macedonia is trying, but there are many obstacles, as I don't need to go into. So, this is it. Accept this, if you're patient, if you're persistent, and especially if you register a company in the EU, which will cut your process by 2/3. You can get money. And there is a lot of money. As usual, European Union moves late, but when they move, it's a lot of money. So these funds have billions and billions and billions, untold billions of dollars, of euros available. So, most important program is Horizon 2020. I'm not going into any detail because the websites have every conceivable detail that you can imagine. I'm just mentioning the names. Horizon 2020 is the biggest and most important, by far. Okay? This is the European Acceleration Program. By one. European Acceleration. They manage a few accelerators. They aim to reach an accelerator in every city. Big city, above half a million. So, that's the acceleration program. Here you have cookies. Sorry, cookies. This is COSME. COSME is a program tailored for small to medium enterprises, but not startups. Not startups. If you already exist 4 years or 3 years, you are selling, you have clients, but you want to expand, you want to develop, you want to introduce new products and so on, this is a program for you. COSME. Giant amounts of money. Gigantic amounts of money. Some of them bigger than in the United States. Enormous amounts of money. I will show an example of a sub program that has 140 million euros. Tiny program. Tiny, so tiny no one knows about it. Hardly find it. Has 140 million. We'll come to it. The umbrella is called Eureka. Here you will find details and so on. Why I'm mentioning Eureka? Because Eureka, for a change, is easy to apply to. They make it easy for you. Most of it is online. So Eureka. From a civilized country. People hear these names like European Investment Bank, EBRD, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. You know, these names are frightening. IFC, International Finance Corporation of the World Bank. They say, okay, then it's not for me. This is, but not true. All of them have programs available to startups, to entrepreneurs. Here you have direct links where to go for the European Investment Bank, SMEs and mid-caps, including that they've invested already in 285,000 such companies. It's direct. You don't have to go through a bank here or to the government. You can apply directly. It is true that there is a minimum. Like you can't go there and ask for 5,000 euros to buy a sewing machine. So it must be a sizable investment, serious investment, or something. But on the level of startup and entrepreneurship. And you need to have some capital of your own. So it's very similar to the innovation fund. What we heard about the innovation fund, but on a much bigger scale. Macedonia is eligible for EIB financing. Actually, Macedonia is what we call an accredited borrower, because it borrowed money from the EIB several times. It's an accredited borrower in good standing. It returned all its money and so on. So all Macedonian firms are eligible. Again, if you are very small and so on, you will be rejected. But if you are looking, for example, for $500,000, this kind of investments, and now, the EIB is open to you. If you're looking for less, believe it or not, the IFC is open to you. I personally, about 15 years ago, brought money, if you remember Lydia, brought money from the IFC to local companies. Many. Dozens.
И правеше бизнес планови за стартапови, имаше голем интерес. Чудно беше затоа што тие луѓе што има идејата, што има она seed money, првите пари да ги вложат, вложија и во бизнес план и во консултанти, не знам што, ги добија парите, а не сака да ги подели. Тоа беше чудесие, зашто се окажа кога веќе парите беа достапни. Можем да кажем се 35% дека се окажа.
Even the EBRD, which usually works via governments or via banks. Usually the EBRD has a bank facility that is distributed among the local banks. So Stobanska has 7 million euros, Konvencionalni has 6. This money is EBRD money, and they are EBRD agents, and they are placing the money with local firms. But even the EBRD has a direct facility. Actually, this 15 years ago when I was active here, I brought money from EBRD to Jessetel, for example, to the bus company. So even directly, we don't go to any bank, we apply directly. There's a woman there, she's in charge of Macedonia portfolio, her name is Mukaitova. I don't know if she's still there. Vesna Mukaitova. Maybe she's still there. And here is the process. I provided you with direct links, so you don't have to search all over the website, gigantic website. So,
Ебера да себе има Охридска банка, има специална програма за жени предприемачи, со много интересни каматни стапки, така да може и тоа да се разпреше. Сега баш треба да се промовира во декември.
But this is through banks. But you can also apply directly. So it's not true that these organizations are not open. They're open directly. If you go through a bank, local bank.
Не, бидејќи тоа е... Овие услови не ги поставува банката, банката е само провайдер.
No, but he's right that they are adding their fee and percentage on the interest.
Деталите не ги стават.
If you apply directly to EBRD or IFC, no commercial, what commercial? If you apply to EBRD, via commercial, it's the same conditions of EBRD plus fee and higher interest.
No, provider.
The bank is putting in the book. Okay, with micro-lending and so on, and we will take a break. Those of you who for some reason come back to a situation where your own group pressures you to pay back the money. It all started with this bank. started with this bank in Bangladesh. Grameen Bank. The owner of the bank, the guy who invented the whole concept actually of micro-lending, received Nobel Prize. Exactly. Received Nobel Prize, that's a guy. He received a Nobel Prize. Grameen Bank lends money to women in villages to buy fabric, to buy a sewing machine, to buy a laundry machine, to make laundry for other people. Tiny things, 100 euros, 200 euros, 5,000 euros, 2,000 euros. But all the village is guarantor. The whole village. If a woman takes a loan, the whole village guarantees the loan. They have close to zero default rate. 0.3. All the money was always returned. Always. Now Grameen started in the 90s and other people saw, wow, it's working. And an international network was opened called Opportunities. In Macedonia, možnosti. As you all know, možnosti exists in Macedonia. So you all know about možnosti. Tell you. But people often confuse several types of crowdfunding. Generally, crowdfunding is when small amounts of money are collected from a great amount of people. So many people, each one of them contributes a small amount of money into a pool, and that pool is used to finance investments, lending, anything else. Yes, not usually with the same result. So, no, I'm joking, they just started, you know. So, but there are several types of crowdfunding. The two types that are relevant because there are other types. For instance, there is crowdfunding donations. People put small amounts of money in the pool, and then the pool donates money. So it's a crowdfunding donation. It's not relevant. The two types that are relevant to you are reward crowdfunding, reward, R-E-W-A-R-D, reward crowdfunding, and equity crowdfunding. These are the two types that are relevant. Reward crowdfunding is when you go to a crowdfunding website. You present your venture, you present your idea, you present your business, and you say how much money you need. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people behind the scenes, each one put 10 euros, 5 euros, 20 euros, or in most cases dollars. Most of the websites are in the United States. So each one put $20, $50, $10, and what? And now, when you present your project, you declare how much money you need. So let's say you have a project and you say, I need $25,000. Specific people from the pool. You can't draw from the pool. The pool is not what we call blind pool. It's not a blind pool where there is a pool, the identity of the investors is not known, and the pool is giving money out. This is called a blind pool. It's the same concept of mutual fund. But this is reward crowdfunding is not blind. In other words, when you place your project, when you ask for $25,000, you specific individual investors will come to you and give you $50, $100, $20, $10, $5. And you know them by name. You know who they are. You know how much they've given. Now, what do you give them back? In reward crowdfunding, you do not give them back money. You give them back something. So, if my project is to publish a new book, the reward will be copies of the first edition, signed by the author. So, if my product is to start services, counting services in Mozambique, and I need for that $50,000, the reward will be 3% of the turnover of the first year. But I will never give money back. Like you gave me 50, I'll give you 50. There's no one-on-one relation. Now the thing is this. If you want $25,000 and you got 24,990, you will not get the money. You must get 25 or more. If you got $25,001, you get the money. If you did not do with the money what you promised, if you stole the money, if it was his money, tough luck. Essentially nothing anyone can do to you, because there's no law yet, no applicable law actually in most countries. It's no, you will be blacklisted, you'll be published, you'll be shamed, your name will be posted on all the, you will never be able to borrow money again using the same name, by the way. Really, there are no protection. It's total trust. The whole thing is based on total trust. Shockingly, in 6 years of existence of reward crowdfunding websites, I know of only 3 cases of cheating. 6 years, only 3 that I know of. And I'm following the industry all the time. Almost none. And even these 3 cases, it was misunderstanding as to what he promised and not delivered. Yes, one of them was a movie, documentary movie, and so on. What was agreed, what was not agreed. So more of a misunderstanding, dispute.
Not intentional.
Yes, than outright cheating. Almost no cheating, 0 cheating. Here are the biggest websites where you can go. By the way, it's open to any company, anywhere in the world. You go, you post your project, there is a process, the process is fast, it's a few stages, it's all done online, and then you have, so you post your project, you ask for money, and then you have to market your project. You have to market your project. So you have to inform people that there's a project, we are looking for this money, we think the project will... Now, most of the investors in reward crowdfunding are not interested in money. So if you go to them and say, I invented a new smartphone and it will make $2 billion a year, shockingly, most of them will not be interested. But if you go to them and say, I'm going to open a new clinic for eye diseases in Egypt, because you are nutcases if you are entrepreneurs. Otherwise, if you had not been nutcases, you would have been working in the government. You'd be employed somewhere. You'll have a job, 9 to 5, wife, 2.3 kids, and 1.7 dogs. If you don't have all these things, you're either complete wacko, nutcase, or entrepreneur. So Macedonians in the diaspora put money in crowdfunding for only Macedonian businesses. Here Macedonians give to Macedonians. You cannot take money from Bulgaria. You can never take money from Bulgaria, but in this case. Okay. This is reward crowdfunding. Do not ever confuse it with equity crowdfunding. Equity crowdfunding is about business. Tough, harsh, hard business. People who invest in equity crowdfunding want their money back, plus a return on the money of 40, 50, 500 or 5,000%. The more the better. They are tough, cookie businessmen. Here. No social dimension, business only. Cold and to the point. Actually, the biggest equity crowdfunding website was established by venture capitalists. And it's called Grow VC. Grow VC, Grow Venture Capital. It's the biggest equity crowdfunding. Here, don't bother to apply. It's only big companies and so on. And big, I mean medium-sized companies. Small, it's VC oriented. But you can definitely apply on all of the next companies. And in a minute I will explain how it works. In equity crowdfunding, it's a blind pool. You remember that in reward crowdfunding, you know exactly who is investing. Joseph gave you 50 euros. You know, this is Joseph, he gave you 50 euros, and he is entitled to 1 copy of the book that you're going to publish. One-on-one community relationship, very social. Also, also long term. Because if Joseph is happy, next time he will give you another 50 euros for something else. Or maybe 100. So you are building a community. Reward crowdfunding is about building a community of investors who will invest in you. Second phase. For example, you published a book with the first money. Now you want more money to market the book. You come again, and the community will give you more money to market the book. They are already invested in the book. They love the book. They got the copies of the book. They are your natural, from that moment on, they are your natural investors. Equity crowdfunding is blind pool. Means investors come, and they can be small investors, 500 euros and so on, 10,000, million also. Investors come, small, big, medium, they put their money in a pool. In a pool, the pool is blind. You as a company apply. Who do you apply to? Not to the investors. You apply through the online forms on the websites, on the equity crowdfunding website. They have a team, evaluation team, like the Fund for Innovation. They have an evaluative team. The evaluative team analyzes your project. If they accept it, if they agree to it, they take money from the blind pool and give it to you. So why bother? Why don't you go to the Fund for Innovation? First of all, go everyone. But the reason is that they are very fast. From the moment you apply, on a typical equity crowdfunding site, usually you will get the money within 14 days. Usually. In extreme cases, a month, but definitely no longer. It's very typical to get it within the week. And some of them give you guarantee of 48 hours. No limits on the amount. So one of them made investment just recently of 25 million euros. Pounds. No limits on the amount. So it's like a bank accelerated, like a bank on steroids. Everything working very fast.
And without the cost.
No. Usually, in most equity crowdfunding sites, they are not asking, they are asking for kind of a business plan, but not like we are used to, you know. But kind of convince me that it will work.
Figures.
Yeah, figures. Convince me it will work. They are asking for a business plan. They are taking equity. That's why it's called equity crowdfunding. They are taking shares, your share, some shares. They take equity, although less than angel investor. Typical angel investor will take minimum 51%, more commonly 75%. More commonly. Typical angel investor. And in America, 76%. Because in America, most of the states don't give you any power unless you have more than 75%. So in most angels in America mostly take 76%. These crowdfunding sites take much less, 30, 40%, some of them 20%. There have been cases of 10%, depending on how much you ask, of course. Now, the majority of them don't ask for collateral, majority, and not for guarantors. And there's no physical possibility, it's all online. There's no way for you to do it. They release the money slowly. You don't get all the 2 million you asked for immediately. The money is released, again, targets, monitoring and so on. But the process is extremely fast. Decision, yes, no, very fast. No collateral, no guarantors, equity only, trust in the investor, in the innovator. So there is a lot of conversation going on between the team and the innovators, the entrepreneurs. I want to see if the entrepreneur knows what he's talking about, if he's ambitious, if he's energetic, if he's, you know, if he tried other options and failed, also tells a lot. So a lot of conversation with the entrepreneur, judgment of the entrepreneur, judgment of the business, that's it. Money. Because so many stages are eliminated, it's days, literally days. Again, don't make the mistake of thinking that this is a small industry. Last year, in the United Kingdom alone, alone, 1.74 billion pounds, UK pounds, equivalent of $3 billion in the United Kingdom alone were invested through equity crowdfunding. That's United Kingdom. Huh? We're not talking about United States, which is several times bigger than United Kingdom. Or even Germany, Scandinavia, which is emerging. I'll show you in a minute. So it's a big, there's a lot of money, huge amount of money, P2P. So, and also investing. You can also ask for investments from identified individuals, all of them listed on the website. And so you find, you see the profiles. It's a little like online dating. A little like dating. I hope not with the same results. Anyway, so you see the people and you connect. You talk to Darko, you have the same interests, you're the same generation, I don't know what, he likes your idea, you like him. Also a lot of personal chemistry. And then after the chemistry comes physics. And here are examples of person-to-person, peer-to-peer to be precise, lending, peer-to-peer investing. Gigantic industry. Actually, no one knows the amount, but some people think that it's bigger than reward crowdfunding. It's enormous. I'll show you an example. Again, don't think it's small money. You can get 20 euros in lending, 25 euros. It's common, but 25 euros, 50 euros, 100 euros. And you can get 100,000 euros. Now, in peer-to-peer lending and peer-to-peer investing, no collateral, no guarantors, no signature, 110% trust. Nothing is required. Not even business plan. Not even project description. Even not that, not required. I mean, if I lend you money through peer-to-peer, I will ask you what you're doing, what you're not doing, and so on. But this is between you. It's not a requirement of the website.
Nema blanko medici.
This is for small money. I mean, don't go into these websites and ask for €500,000. This is for small money, 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros. But sometimes the difference between success and failure is 10,000 euros. Sometimes. So, example, lend Esther $50 to open a grocery shop. It's the same product that I mentioned before. Here, Esther wants $50. So she connects. This guy wants 720, ambitious guy. 122, 177. So direct communication, you see? Direct communication. Transparency for lenders, lower cost for entrepreneurs. Interest rates, you would have expected such websites to have interest rates 70%. I don't know what, like the mafia, you know. No, interest rates are not high. I found that most of the loans here are paying 9.5%. It is less than what Macedonski Telecom charges you when you buy a television. They charge 9.7%. So, interest rate is not high, actually. And on some of these websites, 4 or 5%. Not, not hysterical. Zopa, be smarter with your money, get a loan, lend you money. Low rates. They lend 1.16 billion pounds to 150,000 people.
10 years.
In 10 years. But most of it is the last 2 years, actually. Nothing is required here. I want you to understand. It's direct communication. You have chemistry, you have money. It's nothing here. Usually same day. Example, funding circle. They are a bit bigger, as you see. They gave $1 billion, £1 billion. Thousands of people in the UK government. So here the UK government is financing also. Have lent $1 billion to businesses. This is a lending, peer-to-peer lending, only for business. So here, only as a business you can borrow, not as individuals. Get a business loan, 12,000 businesses, from 5,000 to 1 million. Up to 5 years. Funds typically within 1 week. No early repayment fee. 7.2% a year, as I told you. Notice there. It is open only to British businesses. Frankly, The epicenter of all this is Britain. You may be well advised to open a British company, just for this. Your world of financing will explode the minute you have some stupid entity registered in the Isle of Man. Your world will expand like Big Bang. Okay, example. So this is example of 44,415 people are lending the money. Here are some statistics. You think they are? You probably think that they are idiots. Yes, fools. Fools. Stupid people. Completely stupid. 3 Fs, not 1. Here are some statistics. The default, according to a study published by Nesta, University of California, Berkeley, and University of Cambridge, dated 30th of November 2014. Recent. The default rates on these loans that you see, no collateral, no nothing, no one knows each other, nothing. Online, take my money. The default rates are 1/3 the default rates of commercial banks. Less of year over year, less than 3%. 83% of the firms that borrow remain in operation after 7 years. Much higher than any other form of financing. It's a quote. 83%. Do you know what is the success rate for venture capital finance firms? You know? After 3 years, how many of them survive? 7%. So, they are not such fools. Actually, we have testimonies on these websites and off these websites that people have a compounded interest rate, return on money, compounded year over year, of anywhere between 28 and 42%. You can ask why. How come, if the interest is 7%, how come they're making 40%? It's simply because if you return the money in advance, you have to prepay some of the interest, and so on. There are all kinds of elements here that if you keep it all the time that you borrow, it's 7%. But if you prepay, or if you return small money and take big money, or whatever, the original lender benefits. These people are making 28 to 42% a year with all the defaults. 3% default. Not like Macedonia, where the official rate, I think, is about 19. So, 3% default. I think more governments default than these individuals. More governments, if you think about it. It's an amazing default rate. It's 0, actually. People die. Don't pay. Unless they're Jewish. Okay, rate setter. Rate setter is an amazing idea where you bid. There is an auction on the interest rate. You bid on the interest rate. Auction. It goes down and down. Look here you can 6.1% of it. It's better than Macedonian bank. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's an example. Another example. Bondora. Bondora in Arabic is tomato. These people lend to all countries in the world. But at this stage, only 3 countries, only people from 3 countries ask for money. I don't know why. Netherlands, Estonia, and one other country, I forgot. Something from Africa. No, these are testimony. Netherlands, Estonia, and one other. Only 3 countries, people only from 3 countries. No one from Macedonia, needless to say, but also no one from Serbia, no one from Bulgaria. No one applied. They have 45 million euros. They have 45 million euros, several thousand investors, I don't remember. 9,000 investors. They have 45 million euros. No one touches the money. Go for it. Bondova. Maybe because of the name. Omaraha. Sorry about all these names.
Is it limit one?
Up to 10,000. This is small one. These are very small ones, but available in Macedonia. I checked. All countries. No limit. Small ones, up to 10,000. Usually the typical loan is a few hundred, but they give 10,000. Lendify. Scandinavia. You have a company anywhere in Scandinavia, you can borrow from this people. To borrow, Scandinavia again. Scandinavia is another epicenter of alternative funding. Polish. Lending club. I'm showing you without going into details. If you're interested, go, you have the links. Start. Lending club. Available in Germany, in Spain, Poland. Simple. This law defines which investors are allowed to invest in what. Not every investor in the United States can invest in anything. So some investors are allowed to invest up to this level of risk, others up to this level of risk, etc., etc. Investors with a lot of money, liquidity and so on, are allowed to invest in very high risk assets. So they come to this website and they say, I'm an accredited investor. It's called accredited investor. I'm an accredited investor, and I can invest in the highest risk. I can invest in Macedonia. You are automatically channeled there. Again, you can save yourself a lot of heartache and trouble simply by registering a company in Delaware, for example, in the United States. I'm mentioning Delaware because the taxes there are the best, the tax regime is the best, and it's also the cheapest location to register a company. So you can register a holding company in Delaware, then automatically you are somewhere in the middle because you're an American entity, American company. Registering a company in the domicile is a critical step. As Macedonians, you are blocked. Many, as Macedonians, you are extra blocked. I don't need to mention PayPal.
Even you
I don't need to mention PayPal. I don't need to mention the fact that Amazon refuses to work with Macedonian banks. Amazon has a process called EFT. It's a financial transfer, electronic financial transfer. You are in Austria, it's okay. You're in Spain, it's okay. In Bulgaria, everywhere is okay. They refuse to do EFT with Macedonian banks. Kill me if I know why, by the way. Macedonian banks are among the safest in the world. In Europe, definitely. In my view. But they refuse. There is this stigma. Or Greek pressure. I'm not sure which. I'm not sure which. I don't know anymore because it's bordering on insanity. I mean, PayPal allows you to pay but not to receive. But it allows you to pay and receive in bloody Moldova, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Palau, which has, last time I checked, 75,000 residents. So it's really exaggerated a little, you know. But that's the fact. As Macedonians, you're very limited. You need to establish an outside presence. Commercial banks offer you something called factoring. Factoring is when you sold something, and you issued an invoice to the buyer. But the buyer didn't pay you yet. The buyer just acknowledged the invoice, accepted it, issued an invoice. The buyer didn't open a letter of credit. The buyer did not send you a deferred check. The buyer did not make a wire transfer, which will come in 3 days, if you're lucky. None of this. Buyer will pay in 60 days. My wife has a company, our buyers pay in 60 days. What do we have? An invoice. That's all. So, commercial banks offer you something called factoring. Factoring is you go to the commercial bank, you give them the invoice. If the buyer is a reputable buyer, Amazon or the bank will give you a percentage of the invoice as a loan. As a loan, where the collateral is the invoice. Sometimes invoice plus something, if the invoice is not very strong, so invoice plus. So it's a typical loan, where the collateral is the invoice. And they don't give you 100% of the invoice, of course. They give you anywhere between 60, if you're lucky, to 40 if you're not lucky. And it's a loan. The interest is very high. This is factoring. Factoring, the loan is usually up to 3 months. It's very rare to make factoring for more than 3 months. Most typically 1 month. It's extremely rare.
Because the invoices usually
Invoices are usually. Not so online. As usual, online we have many more options with invoices. Invoices we have of our buyers can be converted to money. Overcome cash flow gaps. Get paid instantly. What happens with most of these websites, you open an account. Then you send them the invoice. The invoice has to be physical. The invoice with courier, whatever. You send them the invoice. Actually, some of them agree if you send them a scanned invoice through secure. Some, but most of them insist on physical. You send them the invoice, and it is deposited in your account. The invoice is deposited in your account, and you are credited against the invoice. Very high. They credit you 90%, 95%, some of them 100% of the invoice. They credit you for the invoice, minus a small fee, which is usually 4%, and it's not so small if you take into account that the finance is for 3 months. But okay, they have to live off something. They charge you 3 to 4%, and smaller fee, which represents the interest for that period. So usually it's about 1%. So about 5%. About 5%. So you deposit the invoice, you get 95%. This is your money. That's it. You can withdraw it immediately. Do what you want. And so on. And what happens when the invoice is not paid? Well, when the invoice is not paid, they maintain all the legal recourse.
But they, not you.
You
Actually, they buy your...
It's their invoice. It's their.
Како побарување, тоа не има побарување, тие се.
To be precise, some of them finance the invoices with no recourse. No recourse means they buy the invoice from you. From that moment, it's their invoice. Some of them with recourse. Means if the invoice is not paid, they come to you. Some of them, some. I cannot generalize. But all of them give you, not 40 and not 60%, but 90, 95%. All of them give it to you within a day or same day. If you already establish an account. For instance, here you establish an account. Look. See? Enter your business email, enter your business phone, choose a password, enter the password again, which is a difficult part, and then start. That's it. That's it. I mean it. You're registered. Start clearing the invoice.
I have few invoices.
Yes, it's absolutely. The kind of invoices we have, Amazon, Amazon, easily.
What about due to invoices?
Huh?
Invoices that are due.
Invoices to you?
No, they're overdue. All the invoices not being paid. Can you use that?
Ако ти е 3 месеци наплата, тебе открива тајните сега.
Another example?
За да не чекаш 3 месеци, вземи си 95%.
Мора да биде жива.
Да, да.
На другото на суд.
Although there is a whole other branch which is not included here, and it's called collections, online collections. They buy the invoice from you, but they pay you very small. They pay you 30 cents on the dollar, 40 cents on the dollar. Yeah, absolutely. It exists. Search in Google online collection. They buy even crazy invoices. I have a friend, his name is Martin Schubert. He used to work in Merrill Lynch. He opened his own company. He buys invoices from Nigeria, from Sierra Leone, from I don't know what, that are like 10 years old.
So it is like an international option.
He's buying garbage, junk, complete garbage. I mean, that I will not touch with a broom if you pay me. And he's buying. He's paying 10 cents, 30 cents, 20 cents.
Като заробените телевизични проекти.
Everything, you name it, we bought Yugoslav, everything. But it's one example. There are many like that.
Не знам дали имаше информација македонска држава за имаме ние
парите на сметка без разлика од кај се пратени, како кредит, како позајмица, како поклон. Постои ли начин да ги третира како црни пари, па да ги блокира, да не може да ги користиш, да не може да се претплати?
I'm not an expert. I'm sure that you have to provide some document.
Зашто ако некој ти даде поклон 100.000 евра, тоа се супер.
Поклон е поклон.
Не, поклон, сакам да кажам, од овие компании што се сега што ги гледаме, ќе земеш пари.
It's a very good question because the tax authorities and so on don't even know what is e-books. I mean, they are that far behind. It's so difficult to work with them on digital sales. So they will have extreme difficulties. Maybe they should have such a seminar. I'm not kidding.
Ако в третман имаат пари, што ќе?
Веројатно мора да се пријават како директна инвестиција.
Тие пари доаѓаат со документација.
Мора да има документ.
Така да не очекувам дека има проблем.
Дали е релевантна оваа документација, дали е толку доволно или ќе барам държавата што нешто?
Guy, we will not have an answer here because no one here is an expert as far as I know. So let's move on. Let's move on, and we're coming to the end. If you are really looking for money, you must stop thinking inside the box. You know the famous box? That's where everyone is. You must stop thinking inside the box. You must think out the box. There are 1,000,001 ways to get money. Legal? No. Illegal? 2 million. 1,000,001 ways. I will have a special seminar on that.
Not with cameras.
Not with camera, of course not with camera, but Zoran will be here. So, there are 1,000,001 legal ways to get money. Some of them are defy imagination. I could have made a list here easily of hundreds. I swear to you, I'm not exaggerating. Hundreds of ways how to get money. But I decided to show you one. One, to provoke your imagination, to give you a taste of what's available out there. There is a competition of business plans. Not one, hundreds of competitions of business plans. You submit your business plan, others submit theirs. If you win the competition, you get the money in the business plan.
With no obligation.
Nothing.
Nothing, present.
Based only on the quality of the business plan. They are not checking if the business plan is realistic, if it is, they are just checking the formality, is it well structured? Is the Excel calculations correct? Is it well presented? Is it by the book? Not whether it's real, not whether it's, the projections are reasonable. That's not the issue. The issue is the format of the business plan. These are competitions, quality of the format of the business plan. There are a few hundred such competitions. Leave it alone. You submit your bill, but of course has to be business plan, bon. If you win, you get the money in the business. Of course, don't submit business plan for $2 billion. You submit business plan for $100,000, and you win. You will get the money. I'm showing you an example of crazy way of financing. Like that, there are hundreds of ways. Hundreds of ways like that. You must think outside the box all the time. Your best friend is Google. Search. Combine words, keywords. I am poor entrepreneur from Macedonia, how can I get money? The more you will get. It's a crazy world out there. People don't know what to do with their money. In today's world, there is more money in cash, liquid, than ever in human history. Ever. It is estimated that there's more than $54 trillion in cash. You cannot invest it in deposits because deposits don't pay interest. In euros, in dollars. Don't pay, not in Macedonia. In the West, don't pay interest. You cannot invest it in bonds because the bonds are in the peak. You're afraid. Stocks, the same. People are looking where to put their money. It's a crazy world. They're inventing crazy things. Competitions that you will not believe. Crazy things. It's a crazy world. Best ever world for the entrepreneur. Ever. Never been better. Never. Believe me. I've been an entrepreneur since 40 years ago. I've been a venture capitalist in the early 80s. I have never seen anything like that.
Tomorrow will be even better.
Yes, every day is getting better. In the websites that I've shown you today, if you roughly add all the money available, just in the websites that I've shown you today, which are, by my rough estimate, less than 1% of the websites available. If you add only the money on these websites, I calculated roughly 40 to 50 billion dollars. Roughly. Roughly. There have been, I've shown you already 5 or 6 with a billion each. This is an enormous amount of money. You must be extremely talented not to succeed to get money somewhere. And I'm sure there will be a website for them also. The most failing entrepreneur gets the money. Okay. Questions? No, I don't promise to answer. They're just questions. No. Ladies first.
How do you evaluate the websites? Do you check the reviews about them, or because there are millions of websites?
No, all the websites that I show you are top-rated ones, the biggest ones.
Of course, but when we search,
How
do we know?
Yes.
Do you check the reviews as well? You check the ratings?
And there are websites that rate them.
Of course.
There are websites that rate crowdfunding. For example, you remember the German website? The crowdfunding.de. This Nazi website has evaluation of the various funds in Germany. They rank them and so on. America, United States, has an official, formal publication once a year that rates the song. So that shouldn't be too difficult. Who? Someone was here? Suicidal? Wanted to ask questions. You wanted something?
No, I was
Sorry.
Нема прашање, ајде.
Нема,
No questions? Great.
Јас мислам дека заслужи најмалце аплауз. И навистина ќе е штета ако само ние ги дознаеме тие информации. Да направиме нешто за општеството. Сакам да ве замолам нешто на крај. Влезете или на веб страната на ЦЕФЕ, info@cefe.mk, пратите мейл, или уште поедноставно на Facebook профилот на ЦЕФЕ. Тоа е замолница, ќе ви објаснам зошто. Што најмалце ви се допаѓа од овој настан и што најмногу ви се допаѓа. Зошто? Навистина е штета што 1000 луѓе денеска немаше овде. Имаме навистина човек кој што не знам како да му се заблагодарам, нема зборови. Бесплатно, тоа што го плаќавме овде всушност беше логистиката. Информациите ги добивме бесплатно. Не знам што, не можам да најдам начин како да се заблагодарам, а зошто го барам тоа мислење од вас? Сигурен сум дека 9 од 10 од вас денеска сте задоволни од информациите, бидејќи затоа и кажав, се го чувствувам како ментален тренер, секогаш научувам нови работи од него, да го споделиме тоа за утре ние да ги користиме тие ваши коментари за повеќе луѓе да привлечеме. Као што гледате нас, воопшто не е целта заработка, а особено господинот Вакнин јавно кажува дека на сите негови такви предавања апсолутно бесплатно ги